Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable the podcast. It is Monday, December the 2nd. What a weekend it was, huh? Huh? I hope you all had a great weekend. Well, what a show this is going to be. We're talking Eagles, big Eagles victory against the Ravens in Baltimore. And then we're going to do our classic movie of the week. Now, we had a really good response last week. We talked about The Wizard of Oz. Great response. And so we're going to talk another movie in a minute. Now, got to talk about the Eagles first. Listen to that turbo out there. Jesus. Here's Eagles. Eagles, Eagles. 10-2, 8-game winning streak. Flying high. Yeah, I think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now. I really do. I look at it this way. Yes, Detroit has a better record, but Detroit has a lot of key injuries happening to them today. They have a tough game coming up Thursday night, be it at home, but they're playing the Packers. That's not going to be easy. Eagles are on a roll. Look at the AFC. Kansas City has a better record, but they're playing quite crappy, aren't they? They are very lucky. They were very lucky to pull out that win against the Las Vegas Raiders on Friday. Buffalo is playing really well. I mean, look at Buffalo. Look what they did last night in the snow. Wasn't that fun to watch? In the snow against San Francisco, who are just a shell of themselves now. And it looks like Christian McCaffrey is done for the year, has a knee injury. Poor 49ers. Those fans will be out there whining again. Oh, the injuries. So, I got to tell you, the Vikings are 10-2. Okay, Vikings. They're the quietest 10-2 I've ever seen. But, yeah, you got to give them respect. They're 10-2. But the Eagles were just very dominating. And here's the thing. Great defense. Think about it. They played 3 of the top 4 teams scoring-wise this year in the NFL. The Ravens, the Rams, the Bengals, and they've held the ball to less than 20. Just that the defense is playing good. Look at yesterday. They pretty much held Lamar Jackson in check. He had that big run at the very end with 7 seconds left, a 40-yard run, but who cares? The game was over there. They held Derrick Henry in check, including that great tackle by Cooper DeJean. They lifted him off the ground, put his ass on the ground. Derrick Henry. So they really did. I mean, Mark Andrews, the tight end, did have a big game. Zay Flowers caught a few balls early, really didn't have a big game. Our old friend Nelson Aguilar dropped a couple passes. So they held the Ravens pretty much in check. But the Ravens, Justin Tucker, look, he's a shell of himself, isn't he? He is washed up. He used to be a great kicker, and I think he's going to be a Hall of Fame. But he sucks now. He doesn't have the leg anymore for the long field goals. He's pulling the field goals and the extra points. I mean, he is just brutal. And you got to say, the Ravens may make a deep run into the playoffs, but are they going to get to the Super Bowl, especially having a kicker that bad? So, Eagles defense. Eagles have so many weapons on offense. They can hit you with Barkley, who again had another 100-yard game against a Ravens defense that is like #1 in the league against a rush. That's impressive. So Barkley rushing for 100 yards is sort of equivalent to him rushing for like 150, 175 against a lesser team, right? You just never know. I heard these things. I'll take Barkley for the under rushing. The Ravens are too good. Don't do it. All it takes is one run. And what the hell is going on out there? One run. And Barkley has, he's explosive. I told you, fourth quarter, that's when he wears teams down. That's when he picks up most of his yards in the fourth quarter. Defenses get worn down by Barkley in the fourth quarter. Eagles have that running game. They have that great offensive line. They've got the passing game. I mean, look, they put up 24 points on the Ravens yesterday, and that was without Devontae Smith being. Dallas Goedert is coming back well. AJ Brown had, what do you have, about 66 yards yesterday or something. But Jalen Hurts was running. The Eagles have so many ways that they can hurt you, and right now, I think they're the best team in football. Of course, I might be a little biased, look what I'm wearing, but I really do. I can't wait. Eagles play the Lions NFC Championship game. What a game. Well, here's the thing. Eagles need to get them outside in Philadelphia. The Lions outside in cold weather, January, maybe a little snow, are going to be like a fish out of water because they played most of their games this year. 14 games they're going to play out of 17. They're going to play indoors. 14. Get them outside. That's what's so important for Eagles to get that number one seed. They're going to get a bye where they can rest up, and they're going to be able to have home field advantage all the way through. And we know if you have home field advantage in the playoffs in the NFL, that is a big key for you to go to the Super Bowl. Look how many years when the Patriots and Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl. Yes, they had Tom friggin' Brady, but they also had home field advantage a lot of times. And teams would have to go into snowy, cold New England and play the Patriots up there. And it's hard to win up there. It's hard to win. So very important for the Eagles to get that number one bye. Now, next week, playing the Panthers. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. The Panthers suck. We know that. But they're still an NFL team. Can't take it for granted. Because the following week, you're playing the Steelers. The Steelers are what are the Steelers? They were 9-3, 10-3. But, the Steelers are playing great. They have a great defense. It's an interstate rivalry, too. Pennsylvania rivalry. The Steelers come here to Philly for the Eagles. What a game. What a game in 2 weeks coming up. So yesterday, could we say it's a preview of the Super Bowl? Yeah. I mean, the Ravens could get there. But right now, look at it, my friends. The NFC is wide open. Kansas City may get there again because they're so friggin' lucky. But, they're playing, if they have home field advantage, yeah, they're gonna be very much the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. But Buffalo could go into Kansas City and beat them. I think the Ravens could go in and beat them. To me, Kansas City is more vulnerable now than they've ever been before. I mean, the Bills could go in, the Ravens could go in. I don't know if the Texans could go and beat. Yeah, I'm not sure about this Texans team. Chiefs, Bills, Ravens. Those are really the three who I think could win the Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. In the NFC, certainly the Eagles and the Lions, but I'm not sold on the Vikings. But look out for the Packers. Let's see what happens Thursday night when Green Bay goes into Detroit. Green Bay's going to have revenge. They're going in to play the Lions, a beat-up Lions team. If Green Bay goes in there and upsets the Lions, you have to make a case for Green Bay getting at least to the NFC Championship game. You have to. Eagles can't take their foot off the gas. Their last 5 games, they have 4 of them at home. So conceivably, I don't see this team losing. Who's going to beat them? Are the Steelers really going to beat them in Philadelphia? I mean, conceivably, if the Eagles win their last 5 games, and don't forget, they're playing the Cowboys at home, they're playing the Giants at home. By then, those teams are nailed it in. They're going to give it up. I could see the only game that the Eagles possibly lose would be the game down in Washington, because Washington's really going to need that game just to make the playoffs. I think Washington will get in as a wild card, but they're really going to need that game. I could see that being a problem, but otherwise, Eagles go 14-3 on the season. Hey, I'm not complaining about that. Not complaining at all. So it was a great, great victory yesterday. What else did we see around it? No. Well, NFC West still up for grabs. Looks like Seattle is trying to take control out there. The Rams did win. Cardinals lost. 49ers lost. It's still a grab bag. But whoever gets hot the last 5 games of the season is going to take that division. But certainly it looks like Seattle's got the advantage out there. Although big game next week, Seattle and Arizona. Ooh. NFC North, that's the powerhouse. That's where you got 3 teams who are going to make the playoffs: Vikings, Lions, Packers. Certainly you would think the Lions are going to take that division, but again, if the Packers end up beating them on Thursday, that division's up in grabs too. NFC South, nobody wants that division. I mean, the Buccaneers have tied the Falcons to both 6-6. Crappy. One of these teams are going to get in, just barely over 500. Who's it going to be? The Falcons or the Bucks? I like the Bucks because the Bucks have an easier schedule, and it seems like they're on the way up, whereas the Falcons are on the way down. And then we have the NFC East, of course. Eagles are going to wrap up that division soon. AFC, we've got the Bills have already clinched the AFC East. No challenge. The Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. How about those Jets? They stink, don't they? What are they, 3-9? And they're talking about benching Aaron Rodgers. Good for them. Talk about a dysfunctional organization, the New York Jets. Everybody was on the Jets before the season. Jets. All that New York hope. They stink up. And, they really screwed themselves up for a long time by putting all their eggs into one basket with Aaron Rodgers. And now it looks like he may not even be with the team next year. Clueless, dysfunctional organization. NFC North, Steelers in front. Big game, though, coming up in 2 weeks. 3 weeks. Steelers, Baltimore. Steelers go into Baltimore. That's going to be a big game. One of the long way to deciding division. AFC South, Texans. Texans are hanging on. I think they will eventually take that division, because what else is there? I mean, come on. Indianapolis, Jacksonville sucks. Tennessee sucks. Oh, what a putrid division that. AFC West. Well, the Chargers were hanging in with those Chiefs. And Chargers are probably going to make the playoffs as a wild card. And as I said, Chiefs are not what they used to be. So, football's very interesting. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're getting down to the last few weeks of the regular season. Teams are punching their ticket to the postseason and jockeying for positioning, for seeding, which is big because not only do you have that bye hanging over your head, you want to position yourself for home field advantage. So the next few weeks during Christmas, New Year's, going to be very interesting. Hey, before we talk about the movie classic of the week I had to, did you hear about this? What was it? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary people put out their word of the year, which is actually 2 words. It's screwed up just like the whole year. The word of the year, which should be 2 words, is brain rot. Brain rot. I think that kind of describes our society. Then brain rot. Yeah. brain rot. The definition is something like clueless, trivial information, especially scrolling, social media, blah, blah, blah. Brain rot, brain rot. Who knows? So that's the word of the year, huh? Yay, yay. Can I move to Mars? What the hell? All right, there we go. Movie classic of the week. Went back to the 80s to get this movie from. The 80s had a hell of a lot of good movies, you think about it. Back to the Future, it had all kinds of great movies back in the 80s. But this one is a classic. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I haven't watched it in a while. I have to put it on one of these days. And here it is. Oscar winner, won 4 Oscars, was nominated for 8, won 4. Rain Man. Whoops, upside down. I'm talking about brain rot. Rain Man, there's Rain. Uh-huh. As you can see, it's in my personal collection. Rain Man. The great Dustin Hoffman, the equally great Tom Cruise. Well, Rain Man came out in 80. And, it was made for $25 million. Box office, of course, we're talking the 80s. We're talking about 40 years ago. Can you believe the 80s were 40 years ago? I can't believe it. That's like one of the most awesome statistics that I can think of anymore. The 80s were like 40 years ago, really? I mean, to me, maybe it's yesterday. But anyway, Ray-Ban was made for $25 million, made over 285 million. Talk about success. It was a critical and financial success when it came out in 1988. It has an 88 rating still on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you don't know the story, it's about this hotshot car salesman, Tom Cruise, who lives in LA, finds out that his estranged father, who's died, has left his will, but left a lot of money to the brother that Tom Cruise, whose name is Charlie Babbitt, a brother he never knew that he had. Because as it turns out, Tom Cruise has an older brother named Raymond Babbitt, who is in a mental institution. Never knew it. Never did. And the old man left the majority of his money to Raymond, who was in the mental institution. Well, here's the thing. So you got Tom Cruise is like, what the hell? First of all, I'm not getting the money. So he's fighting that over that. We get lots of lawyers involved and stuff. And then he's like, who is this brother? Dad. So he takes some time and he goes out to where the mental hospital is out somewhere in Ohio. Meets Raymond, finds out that his brother is this autistic guy, but it's more than that. He's a savant. He likes, what a savant is? He's really like very, very brilliant people. They're not, how can I say, not very in tune with everything going on in the world. Probably would not be able to balance a checkbook, but could tell you things, brilliant memory, music, could tell you like he's a statistical wizard. He's a fan of baseball, and he can just you ask him what was how many home runs did Ted Williams? And there's like 521, but he just spouts him. So finds out that his brother is living in his home in Ohio, and is this brilliant guy. Goes out, has a legal battle, try to get custody of his brother, who's never even known, just so he could get that dough. couple $1 million. Big legal fight, ends up pulling the brother out of the mental hospital, takes a road trip across the country to LA, decides brother can live with him. They stop on the way into a casino in Vegas because the brother is brilliant at count cards. It's a touching movie. It's a very you know what it did? It brought a lot of awareness, which I think is good, to autism, to the spectrum, to autism. You know, back in the day, back in those days, people didn't really like talk about it, you know, and but it brought a lot of awareness and to person being a savant. Now, as I've learned, to be both of them autistic and savant, very, very. But the way this was the original screenplay. In fact, the screenplay won an Oscar, 4 Oscars: Best Picture of 1988, Best Actor, Lead Actor, Dustin Hoffman, Best Screenplay, and Best Director. Speaking of which, Steven Spielberg was very interested to do this movie. He was very interested in Ray-Ban when he saw the script, but he was committed to doing an Indiana Jones movie, one of the follow-ups. I forget which one, Temple of Doom, I'm not sure. Couldn't get out of it, which even to this day now, Spielberg says he regrets. He really wished that he could have directed Ray-Ban. And the guy who wrote the script, Ray-Ban, he actually wrote another script called Bill, based on an autistic person that he actually knew. Bill was a sort of like a TV movie. It wasn't very well known. So what he did was he based it on Bill, plus there was another person that he knew in the community who was a savant. And so he provided it. And that was the basis for Ray-Ban. Now, if you watch the movie, you'll know that the title Ray-Ban is Raymond, because Tom Cruise, as a baby, could not say the word Raymond. He said Raymond. He always kind of knew as a baby that he had a brother, and he couldn't put two and two together. It was sort of foggy. And when he finds out that Raymond, Dustin Hoffman, was his brother, he's like, Raymond, Raymond, you're the one that I used to call Raymond. So originally, before they got Tom Cruise to do the movie and Dustin Hoffman, they were thinking about getting Quaid brothers, Dennis and Randy Quaid, to play the two babies. And kind of like did what the two. Some other people they were interested in. Get this: the Dustin Hoffman role, Bill Murray. They wanted Bill Murray to do them. And a few people turned it down, including Mel Gibson turned down the role of Raymond Valley. That was a big mistake right there. It's always fascinating, isn't it? When you hear about these movies and these roles, iconic roles that were turned down by other becoming actors, and how not only their career, but our movie would have been so much different if only these actors would have accepted the roles, you know? So it's kind of cool to hear about, well, this guy turned down this role in this movie. But anyway, Dustin Hoffman won the Oscar, and he really got into it big time. In fact, Dustin Hoffman, great actor. You don't hear much from him anymore because there were allegations against him of abuse and things like that. So he's sort of laying low. But you got to hand it to him. Back in the day, Dustin Hoffman was one of our brilliant actors. I mean, think of it. He was in The Graduate, then he did the Tootsie Kramer versus Kramer, which I think is a great movie. Rain Man, and he did so many great movies over the years. So Dustin Hoffman studied for a year. Midnight Cowboy, Midnight Cowboy, he was a little kid. Dustin Hoffman studied for a year. Hung around people with autism. Tried to get down the speech, tried to get down the gestures. Then he did the same thing around savants. Tried to really get down the pattern of speech, the way they move. Dustin Hoffman, to me, wasn't just one of these actors who just went in and did the damn role and left. He really took his time and got into the words. Reminds me a lot of Daniel Day-Lewis. Remember Daniel Day-Lewis? In fact, Rain Man, you could say, sort of started a pattern because of actors who won Best Actor playing people with disabilities. And I could see who do that. I mean, think about it. Hoffman won for Rain Man. The very next year, Daniel Day-Lewis won for My Left Foot, playing the Irish poet Christie. Now, some people weren't enthralled with Hoffman's portrayal. They thought it was a little patronizing. You know, to me, this is a little being a person with a disability. Anything that brings increased awareness to the disability, I think is good, right? I mean, as I said, one of the byproducts of Rain Man was people started learning about autism and about people who were savants. And I'll tell you what, before I saw Rain Man, I didn't know. Remember that scene in Rain Man where they dropped the box of matches and he automatically knows there were like 428 matches laying on the floor of the diner? Incredible. That really happens. Or, you know, maybe he hears a piece of music one time and he can sit down at the piano and play it note for note. That really happens. So until Rain Man, we didn't really know about things like this very much, unless you were involved in the community of some sort. So I think that's good. I think when movies or TV shows and documentaries highlight a certain condition, it breaks the light, you know, the increased awareness helps everybody to learn and not be so afraid of the unknown. So I think it's good. What else about me? Yeah, so what happened was, if you remember, back around in the late 80s, there was a writer's strike. Kind of similar to the writer's strike we had around 2022. Yeah, where some of the movies were kind of halted. That's what happened back in the movies. So what happened was the final draft of Rain Man was not completed until literally a few hours before the writers went on strike. They got the final draft done. They gave it to the director and producer. That was it. Things were clear to film the movie. And most of the movie was filmed in around Hollywood. The desert scenes that you see, the road trip cars. But a lot of the movie was also filmed on location to northern Kentucky. I think it's a great movie. I was, you know, when I first saw Rain, I was a little pulled off with the Tom Cruise character. I didn't think it was very realistic, you know. Uh, Actually, did you notice when Hoffman was interested in the movie, Dustin Hoffman was originally thought of to play the Tom Cruise role of the hotshot car salesman. And like I said, there were other thoughts of having Bill Murray play the role of the autistic gentleman. But then I think one thing led to another, and Dustin Hoffman got the role as Raymond. So but I didn't really like the Tom Cruise character very much at first. But then when you watch it, you kind of realize it's really kind of a complex, deep role. Because think about it, this young guy is very independent. He's into making money, right? He's selling these hot Ferraris and sports cars out in LA. I mean, he's a globetrotter all over the world to buy these cars and sell these cars. And now all of a sudden, he finds out he has an older brother someplace in. And he's trying to come to grips, not only with that, the fact that he had a brother at this time and didn't even know it. He's trying to come to grips with his father, his parents. Why did they put Raymond away? And he finds out that they thought that Raymond was trying to scold John Gavitt, the younger brother, giving him better. That wasn't true. It was the mother thing. And it was Raymond who tried to see his younger brother. Well, the father thought it was Raymond, put it away. The truth always comes out of Raymond, doesn't it? So it's a very complex story. And it's a story about relationships. How does the brother relate to the older brother, and vice versa? I mean, the Dustin Hoffman character, Sarah Ben Barber, was a very no emotion, which is for a person with a savant, that's kind of the way it is. Even at the end, I don't want to give the away in case you haven't seen it, but when they part on the train, there's no emotion, but there is emotion from Tom Cruise's son, which finally broke that icy barrier that Tom Cruise had a whole movie. So the interaction between the two, chemistry is just great. And the movie is really about relationships. In fact, that's what the director, the guy who wrote the screenplay, said he was going more for. He didn't want to turn it into this, well, this is what autism is, this is what's. No, that's sort of just a byproduct of the story. The main story is the relationship between the two brothers, Tom Cruise and Steve. Some interesting facts about the movie. The car. There were actually two cars in the movie. But to say, where they make the road trip, the one of the cars was equipped with a heavy camera. So the camera would be in the back, filming them as they're riding. That car was actually, after the movie was bought by the director, the guy who wrote the movie. The other car that they used in the movie, and the better car, was purchased by Dustin Hoffman. And he kept that car and rode it for 39 years. In fact, that car that was in the movie Raymond was just sold at auction in 2022 for reported over $330,000. Awfully projected for a long time. My final words on Ray here. Let me get Ray Boone, 1998, 1988. So I would go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it in a long time, like me, go back and put it on. Yeah, it's a little dated. I mean, Raymond talked about watching Judge Walk during the People's Court, and it's a little dated, but it is what it is. It's a slice of life in the universe, too. That's the way you gotta look at it, right? The People's Court, what we're really talking about, Judge Walk. No, and it's a slice of life, not only in that respect, but with people with autism and on the spectrum, and how they were treated by communities. And people with disabilities. It's a whole different world, trust me. You gotta remember the late 80s, this was before the passage of the Americans with Disabilities AD, which wasn't really signed, it wasn't really passed until 1982. So when this movie was filmed, this was still considered the dark age for the people with disabilities. I mean, places weren't as accessible. Me, so I couldn't get around. There were more steps than ramps. Let's put it that way. There were a few cut curves on city blocks and it was a tough time for people with disabilities back then. Things changed for the better after the ADA Act was passed. So another byproduct of watching Raymond is you get a taste of what things were back then for people with disabilities. So I would say watch Raymond, okay? And there we go. And that's our movie classic of the week. Next week we'll come out with something else, huh? Maybe we'll do a Halloween. I would look down. We'll do a Halloween this week, Christmas, right? I think that seems another one. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Yay, Eagles still celebrating until we turn the page and we play the Carolina Panthers. I think it's a 1 o'clock game, an early game Sunday, which is always good. 1 o'clock game, right? So go Eagles. Next week, hot stove is heating up. Phillies. Look for some trades, some free agent signings, winter meetings, general manager meetings, heating up. So look for some action on the baseball from next week. Sixers, who cares? I mean, who cares? Do you look? Just everybody have a good day. Go Birds. Peace and love. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.